Hello, today we're going to talk about lesson 3.7, finding air distances. And I don't have any vocabulary for you today, but I do have something for you to think about. Vanessa and Marcus traveled from Chicago, Illinois to Washington, D.C. Vanessa flew and Marcus drove. Who do you think traveled the greater number of miles? If you thought that Marcus probably traveled the greater distance, you are correct, because most likely if you're driving a car, you are not going to have as short of a distance as you would if you flew in a plane. So good thinking on your part if you went that route. Of course, flying would be faster and you would travel more miles in a shorter amount of time. So Marcus would be the one that traveled the greater distance because he would not have a direct route. So that brings us to what are we going to be doing in this lesson? You are going to be using a map scale to calculate distances on a map. So what we'll be doing in class is you will be given some places that you need to locate on a map and try to figure out what the shortest distance is from one place to another. You're going to measure that distance with a meter tape, and then you're going to calculate that distance in miles. So let's take a look at using a map scale. Now, most of the time when you have a map scale on a map, it's going to give you a key. For example, the one here at the top is showing you that 1 inch is equal to 1 mile. Okay, so if we look right there, that is our key. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but believe me, it says 1 inch equals 1 mile. So if I were going to calculate distances for this particular problem, if I look at number 1, it says how many miles is it between West Palm Lake and South Beach? And this is kind of set up a little strange, but this was the closest thing that I could find that would show you a map scale. So if we look here, we have West Palm Lake right here, and we have South Beach down here. So if we were going from the end of that ruler to the other end, that's going to be about 6 inches. Okay, so if 6 inches is my distance, and I know that 1 inch is 1 mile, then I would multiply that times 1, and basically that would be 6 miles for that particular problem. How many miles is it between Hollister and South Beach? So if Hollister is 3 miles and South Beach is 6, we've got 3 miles there. So we're looking from one place to the other, so 3 miles, or 3 inches, 3 inches to 6 inches is going to give me 3 miles because 1 inch is 1 mile. How many miles is it between Pacifica and West Palm Lake? So again, if we look at West Palm Lake, that's kind of our starting point, and we look at Pacifica, it's 4 inches. So it would be 4 times 1, or 4 miles. All right, so just to give you an idea there, we have a second map scale at the bottom here, and on this map scale, 1 inch is equal to 5 miles, and we have some problems there that if you'd like, you can kind of pause the screen and try to figure those out, but I'm going to go through some other examples with you on the next few slides, so if you want to wait and come back to that, that's fine. Alright, so how do we do this? What you're going to do in class is we are going to have some globes, very similar to the picture that I have here on the screen, and you're going to use a tape measure or meter tape, and we're going to look for the shortest route. That's going to be your first step. So if you're given 2 cities, you're going to try to find the shortest route between those 2 cities. You're going to measure it using your measuring tape, and you're going to measure to the nearest half centimeter or half inch, depending on what your map scale has on it. You're going to record that measurement, and then you're going to use a calculator to calculate the miles. So, for example, here's our practice today. If 1 inch is equal to 660 miles, then 2 inches is going to be equal to 2 times 660. Or if we entered that in the calculator, we're going to get 1,320 that you see right here. Okay? So what if you measured a half of an inch? What would we do in that situation? Give you a second to think about that. If it was half an inch and our scale says 1 inch is 660, what would half an inch be? It would be 330, because 330 plus 330 equals 660, and we know that 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole. So in that situation, a half an inch would be 330 miles. Okay, let's take a look at another one. If your distance was 10 inches, what would we do in that situation? Again, we know that 1 inch is 660 miles. So 10 inches is going to be 10 times 660. Okay, so if we take 10 times 660, what are we going to get in that situation? 10 times 660. So we're going to get 6,600 miles. Okay? So what if my distance was 5 inches? What would I do in that situation? Well, remember, 1 inch is 660 miles. So we would take 5 times 660. And you're going to enter that on a calculator, but I'm going to do it right here. So that's going to give me 3,300 miles. Okay? So that is how we would calculate the distance in inches and convert that to miles to figure out the distance. So to summarize what we've talked about today, I showed you a method to use a map scale to calculate distances on a map, and that's what you're going to be doing in class, most likely with a partner. But again, you're going to be using your meter tape to measure the distance, and you're going to look for the shortest route, and then you are going to take that distance and use your map key to calculate the mileage. Thanks for watching.